what is love? Today we're going to define what love is. We're going to define true love. See, we like to use the word so much, love. We say we love everything. We'll just make a new friend. We'll be like, hey, I love you, bro. I love you, girl. We love our pets. We love our shoes. We love our clothes. We love food. We love money. We love jobs. We love people. We say the word love so much that every time we say it, it loses just a little bit of value and it loses just a little bit of worth. I think we say the word love so much that when we say we love things, we use that same emotions, feelings, and attachments. But then when we say we love God, those same emotions and attachments, we say we love our shoes. We say we love our shoes the same way we love God. The feelings and emotions and attachments, when we say we love other things here on earth, we take those feelings and emotions and we apply it to the same way we love God. But today we're going to blow that all to pieces, because the way God loves us and the way we love God, it tears apart any type of way we could love our shoes or love our clothes. So today we're going to define what is true love. Not shoe love, not we love our shoes, but we're going to define how we love God and how much God loves us. True love. So to figure out what love is, we're going to turn to the Bible. 1 John chapter 4, verse 8 simply tells us these three words, that God is love. Very simple, very plain, just three words in 1 John 4:8. It says that God is love. Not what he does. Yes, God loves us, but it's who he is. And then if you look, we actually get some applicable attachments, some applicable ways that love applies to us. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, it says this in verse 4, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves, and love never fails. So those are some applicable things we can use to filter when people tell us we love them. Or when we say we love other people, we can say, hey, are they lining up to this standard of what 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 is? Are they aligned with that standard? Do they meet it? But if we know that God is love in 1 John 4, 8, that means we can plug God in here. In 1 Corinthians 13, if it says that love is patient, that means God is patient. If it says that love is kind, that means God is kind. If it does not envy or not boast, that means God does not envy or boast. If it is not proud and does not dishonor others, that means God is humble and he respects others and he honors others. If love is not self-seeking, that means God is not self-seeking. If love is not eagerly angered, then God is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. That means God keeps no records of wrong, because God is love and love keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. That means God does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. So that means God always protects, always hopes, always preserves, and love never fails. It means God never fails. No matter what sticky situation we feel like we're in, no matter how much sin we feel like, that God can no way love us the way it says here. God never fails us. So those are some applicable characteristics we can use to filter if when people say they love us or we love them, are we holding them to that standard of what 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8 is. So now we know that God is love in 1 John 4, 8. And we want to hold people to the standard of 1 Corinthians 13. So now how can we view that God loves us? We know that God is love. How did God love us? What did God do to be love? And this is simply what he did. And this is what love is. Love is looking at a person and seeing all their flaws, all their mistakes, all their mess-ups, knowing every single thought in their head of everything they did in the past and everything they're going to do in the future, all the nasty stuff that nobody else wants to know. Love exposes all that and still decides and says, hey, I want to be in relation with you. Hey, I want to be a friend with you. Hey, I want to be your son. I want to be your daughter. I want to be your mother. I want to be your father. Love looks at a person and knows every single thing about them, all the bad stuff, all the thoughts, everything they did, everything they will do. It still decides, hey, I want to be in relation with you. Some of us, if we took that same definition and applied it to our friendships, we'd cut some people off. If we looked at our friends and we got to see every single bad thing about them, all the thoughts in their head, all that drama that they're spreading, maybe even about you, drama about you, be like, hey man, you actually don't love me. You said you love me, but all this bad stuff around you, I don't want to be in relation with you. But God looks at us and he sees all of our flaws, all of our mistakes, everything we've done, everything we ever will do. He knows all of our thoughts. And he still says, hey, I want to have a relationship with you because I love you that much. And this is an example of that love. In Luke chapter 23, verses 18 through 25, we're in this, here's the scenario. I'm going to plan it for you right here, a picture in your head. We have Jesus and Barabbas standing before a crowd. Pilate, he was the guy in charge back then, and he went to this crowd and said, hey, I have two prisoners here, Barabbas and Jesus. Who do you want me to release? So that's where we're here in Luke chapter 23, verse 18. But they all cried out together, away with this man, and release to us Barabbas. So the crowd is saying, away with Jesus, release to us Barabbas. Verse 19, Barabbas, a man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection started in his city and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, crucify him, crucify him. A third time he said to them, what evil has he done? What evil has Jesus done? I have found in him no guilt deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him. So Pilate says, I have found no guilt in Jesus. I'll just punish him and then release him. Verse 23, but they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, and then for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. So we have Barabbas and Jesus standing before a crowd, and the crowd chants, crucify Jesus and release to us Barabbas. Barabbas was a murderer. Barabbas was a sinner. And Jesus was an innocent man. See, Jesus knowing everything, Jesus is all-knowing because he's fully God. He wasn't caught by surprise. Jesus didn't just stand up before this podium and be like, oh snap, you chose to crucify me and you let this man go. Like, Jesus was not caught by surprise by any of this. He knew it was going to happen. He knew what the crowd was going to chant. He knew that Barabbas was going to be released. Barabbas, a murderer, a sinner. Jesus, an innocent man, but the crowd wanted the murderer and the sinner released, and they wanted to crucify Jesus on the cross. Jesus knew all that. He wasn't shocked. It didn't faze him. He knew it was going to happen. And then this is exactly what love is. It's what Jesus did with Barabbas. This is what love is. See, Barabbas, the murderer, the sinner, he deserved punishment. There was nothing good about this man. He was the one who deserved the punishment. He was the one who deserved the cross. Therefore, Jesus, an innocent man, doing nothing wrong. Pilate even said he found no guilt in him, doing nothing wrong. Jesus did not deserve any type of punishment. He did not deserve a cross. Same way with us. We are Barabbas. I'm Barabbas. I am a sinner. Barabbas was a murderer. I'm a murderer. According to Matthew 6:22, it says, you have heard it was said to people long ago, you shall not murder. Anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you, anyone who is angry with a brother or sister shall be subject to judgment. I'm a murderer just like Barabbas. I'm a sinner just like Barabbas. I'm an adulteress. According to Matthew 6:28, it says, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery within her heart, with her in his heart. I am a murderer. I am a sinner. I'm an adulteress, and I am Barabbas. And if I were standing next to Jesus today, before a crowd, me, a sinner, a murderer, and adulteress, standing before an innocent man, doing nothing wrong, Jesus looked at Barabbas, Jesus looks at me, and he looks at you and says, you know what? I see everything you've done, and I know I've done no wrong, but I will take your place on this cross. I will die for you, knowing all the sin that you've committed, all the nasty stuff that you've committed. I will look at you the same way he looked at Barabbas, and he says, you know what? I will take your place. That's what love is. It doesn't get more real than that. Jesus taking the place on the cross. Jesus taking the place of a sinner. Taking my place on the cross. A sinner, a murderer, an adulteress. He knows every single sin that I've committed. He knows it before I even committed it. He knows everything I'm going to do in the future before I even do it. But he looks at me and he knows all the nasty stuff that I did. He looks at my heart and he says, you know what? I will still die for you. I will still take your punishment. I will bear the pain on that cross because I love you that much. And he says that about me, and he says that about you. He looks at you, all the sin, all the nasty stuff. You're a murderer, you're an adulteress, you're a sinner, you're Barabbas. And he looks at you and he says, you know what, my son, you know what, my daughter? I'll take your place on the cross. I'll take the punishment. I'm going to bear it so you don't have to because I love you that much. See, that is what love is. It doesn't get more real than that. God's love for us is not the same way we love our shoes and love our clothes. God's love for us is so much so real for that. I bet you your shoes have never took the place on the cross for you. Your shoes, your clothes, your friends, your pets, your dogs, everything we say we love here on earth, they never took your place on a cross to die for you. For something they didn't even deserve, an innocent man dying for us when we're the guilty ones. Nobody here on earth has done that. No shoes, no pets, nobody we say we love, but an innocent man, Jesus. And that is how much he loved us. That is true love and not shoe love.